Hello, happy Sunday. Welcome to Mindset with Jamil Damji. That's me, Jamil. Happy to be here, enjoying Los Angeles, California. I'm coming to you from my beach house. And the topic of today's conversation is how this beautiful home of mine came to be, how I manifested it into my life, and the mechanism in which you can accomplish the same by the power of your attention, intention, and presence. So get your pens, your notebooks, keep them handy. Today is going to be a fun lesson. The reality is I've been practicing the concepts that we're going to be talking about today for quite a long time. And they became known to me while I was studying for my undergraduate degree in actual physiology in college. And when I first took my initial uh, chemistry and physics classes, I learned of this incredible phenomenon that I'm so excited to talk to you guys about today. So, hope you guys are wide awake and ready to be taken on a fascinating journey inside, outside, and into the different forms of reality. Now, I'd love to see where all of you are joining us from today. Let me know what part of the country you're in. Let me know what community you come from, whether you are part of the AstroFlipping community, the Sub2 community, TTP, Jerry Norton's, or if you are someone who has found me on YouTube. Love to find out where you guys are joining me from. Awesome. What's up, Nathan? Still in Florida, I see. How you doing, Manuel? Out of Tempe. What's up, Marco in Houston? Yes, yes, yes. Amazing. Beautiful day. Beautiful day. Now, as normal, I will begin this session with a prayer because I truly believe that anything and everything we want or need in our life finds its way to us through our source when we ask and take steps towards it. Again, if this bothers you for any reason, just mute me for 30 seconds because I'm going to do this anyways. But if you'd like to join me, here we go. God, we love you so much, Lord. Thank you for today. Thank you for opening all of our minds and giving us breath, for giving us the minds to connect and communicate with each other. Lord, we are so grateful for that. Lord, we ask that you guide each of us to your purpose for our lives, so that the steps we take are your steps, the words that we speak, your words, the actions we take, your actions. God, we ask that you guide us to those individuals that will be of benefit to us, either through a financial gain or a lesson we need to learn. And we also ask that you deflect us from those individuals that would waste our time or bring us harm. Lord, for any of us here that are in need of any additional understanding of the concepts that we'll discuss here, we just pray for perfect clarity in our minds. And for anyone suffering through any physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual pain, we just pray for perfect healing in our lives. And Lord, it is with humble hearts and in your heavenly name we pray. Amen. Beautiful. All right, I am going to put a link in the chat today because we will likely have some people with some questions. And if you would like to join me on camera, you should click on that now. And towards the end of today's conversation, I'll be bringing up a few of you to chat, ask some questions, and we can discuss further. So, how the heck did I manage to get myself this beautiful home on the beach of Marina del Rey, California? Well, I can say to you that since a young boy, I've always had a desire to be close to the ocean. I love the ocean. I love the smell of the ocean. I love the sound of the ocean. I love the look of the ocean. I love the beach. I love everything about being close to bodies of water, except going into them. So I am not a swimmer, and you will not see me out frolicking in the ocean often. Sometimes I get brave and I go. But just looking at it, just being around it and experiencing the ions, that are emitted from the sea is incredibly inspiring and healing for me. And since a young boy, I would look at photos of the ocean and I would put them up on my walls. And I was always really just interested in being close to bodies of water. Now, funny enough, I didn't come from an economic situation growing up that would, lend to that being something that I would easily obtain. I didn't come from rich parents, and we didn't have vacations as I grew up. We never actually went on vacations as a family when I was young. My parents worked way too hard. They both worked, 10 to 12-hour days. Mom, 2 jobs, dad, labor. And my sister and I literally fended for ourselves for the majority of our childhoods. We were latchkey kids. And so we found our way to school. We found our way home from school. And we had to basically just make sure that we didn't die. And that's the reason why I have such a close relationship with my sister, because she helped raise me. 6 years older than me, was definitely someone that helped keep me in my body, so I didn't disappear, get kidnapped, or anything else. Now, as a young man, growing up into my college years, I was blessed to be able to travel a little bit through field study classes at the University of Calgary, where I got my undergraduate degree. And it's the first time I had ever actually seen the sea. And I remember feeling as if I had become entangled with it in some way. Like at some level, what was Jamil, the atoms that make up Jamil, somehow interchanged with the atoms that make up the sea. I didn't even know what any of it really meant, but I could feel that. And many of you watching this today may have felt that in some way. Sometimes we have these types of sensations with our children, or we have a dream that we have in our world that we have an entanglement with. I want to talk to you guys about the physics behind this entanglement, why it's actually a real thing, and how we can use these concepts and the actual science behind this to truly live our highest and greatest versions of our lives. All right. So I want to rewind us back first to the double-slit experiment. Now, for those of you that are unaware of what the double-slit experiment is, Thomas Young in the 1800s found that that matter, so physical matter, like this pen, the atoms that make up this pen exhibit both particle and wave characteristics. Now, that's interesting to know, right? That this pen made of atoms has both particle and wave characteristics, because the fact that I can hold it, right? The fact that this is here means that I am interacting with the particle nature of this pen and all the atoms that make up the pen, right? So it's easy for us to prove that this is a particle or made of particles, right? Nobody's gonna question that. Although we do know now that if we zoom in using a microscope, and even farther in using an electron microscope, we can see that the atoms that make up this pen are vibrating. They're actually in motion, even though they don't look like it to the naked eye. The atoms that make up this pen are moving. And not only that, but they are almost 99% empty space. So very little matter is actually, very little like stuff is actually making up this pen. And when we come to the realization of that as being scientifically true, then not only does it put us on a tailspin of thought to think, well, if this is vibrating and if this is made of mainly empty space, how is it that I can hold it, right? Why am I able to interact with it? And the reason for that is called the observer effect. the observer effect. The observer effect, in the most basic terms as I can explain it, is the phenomenon of observing an object affects its physical properties, all right? Observing this object affects its physical properties. So by looking at this thing, I'm actually in concert with it. By looking at this, I'm actually creating it. I'm agreeing to its existence, and in agreeing to its existence, it is existing. I know that's maybe a heady concept to think about. How do we know that? How do we know that that's real? Well, again, through the double slit experiment, what they did is they took particles of light and they shined them through two slits. They called it a double slit experiment, right? And you would think that anything that has a 50-50 characteristics, right? If we know that matter has both particle and wave characteristics, that 50% of the time that we observe this, or 50% of the time that we test this, we should be able to see the wave particle or the wave qualities, and 50% of the time we should be able to see the particle qualities, right? Anything that's statistically two things, like a coin, for instance. If I flip a coin enough times, statistically it'll be 50% heads, 50% tails. Are we all, I'm going to start with that, just basic understanding. Are we all in agreement that if we flip a coin enough times, that 50% of the time it'll be heads and 50% of the time it'll be tails? Please let me know in the chat that that makes sense to you, statistically speaking. Cool. There's nearly 100 of you on here, so I want to see lots of C's, yeses. Okay, I want to make sure that we're all tracking here. Thank you, guys. Also, while you are having your fingers near that keyboard, just move your mouse up just a little bit and hit the like button, because I don't understand why so many of you don't do it. I know that you're engaged in watching and listening, but do it for the sake of others who might have an opportunity to watch this at a later date. It helps the algorithm and my channel very much. Anyhow, enough of that. So we agree that anything that 50% that has two characteristics will 50% of the time be one and 50% of the time being other. So if this is a particle and a wave, then half of the time this shouldn't even be here, right? Half the time this shouldn't be here. Half the time this should be a wave, and the other half of the time it should be a pen. But why is it that every time I look at this thing, every time I go to grab it, I can actually grab it, right? Because it's solid, it's a pen. Okay. That's where scientists became baffled, because when nobody was observing this experiment, when it was being monitored without a human observer or a human recorder, they found that 50% of the time, when they shot that particle of light through those two slits, that it would be particle, and 50% of the time it would be wave. And so they were like, hurrah, like a coin, it's exhibiting the properties that it should be, 50% particle, 50% wave. Then the scientists entered into the room and started observing the experiment. And lo and behold, the wave function collapsed. And 100% of the time, it became a particle. And they sat there staring at each other saying, what the F is this? What is this? How is it that when we turn our backs and we don't look at this thing, 50% of the time it'll be a particle and 50% of the time it'll be a wave, but the moment that I look at it, it's a particle? And they scratch their heads. It's very crazy. It's very, 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 very crazy. And that is a real thing. Now, let me take this another step. Researchers then do a study on these cute little tiny baby chicks. These tiny little baby chicks, they put them in a box. And in that box, they put them in a corner of a box, and they cage them up in this corner of a box. And then they take this mechanical hen. Okay, it's a robotic hen. And they put the robotic hen in the box. Now, actually, let me rewind a second. They take the chicks, they put the robotic hen in the box first, and it's a random generated hen, right? So the hen will move around randomly. It just moves around a box randomly. Can we all understand what that is? It has a mechanism in it where it moves in a random way. And so it's like all over the place. It's like watching a toddler scribble, okay? Super random. Then they drop these baby chicks into a corner of that box. And what happens? That mechanical hen stops behaving randomly. The mechanical hen, which we would imagine has no soul, right? It's got no spirit in it. It's a mechanical hen that randomly moves. The mechanical hen starts finding the corner where the baby chickens are, and it stays in that area. Even though it's programmed to move around randomly, it is no longer behaving in a random fashion. Now, it is being drawn to the corner where the baby chickens are. And the scientists, again, baffled, scratching their heads, wondering, what sorcery is this? How are these little baby chickens affecting the movements of a mechanical hen? Doesn't make sense. They take this research even further because they've seen how scientists, when observing physical reality, particles of light, can collapse the wave function and create the particle, right? They've seen that. Then they've taken that level of consciousness down and they've moved it down a little bit and they've turned it to baby chickens. And baby chickens can, through their small little consciousness, affect how a random mechanical hen moves around its box. They take a plant and they put a plant in a box as well, and they put that plant in a corner of the box. And above the box, they create a track, okay, a 4-cornered track. And on this track is a light. And that light, again, moves in a random fashion. And statistically, we know that if we run this light on the track long enough, that 25% of the time it'll be in the northeast, 25% of the time it'll be in the northwest, 25% of the time it'll be in the southeast, and 25% of the time it'll be in the southwest. We can all agree to understand that statistically that would make sense, correct? That light should post up in one of the 4 corners in a 25% statistical manner. Okay. Well, when that plant is in one of the corners, 70% of the time, the light ends up on top of where the plants are. 75% of the time. So the consciousness of a plant, if we can even say that exists at a level, is also affecting physical reality. In 2022, John Clauser and Elaine Aspect won the Nobel Prize for further proving quantum entanglement, meaning that entangled particles or things that have been connected at some level behave as a single unit, even when shot to opposite ends of the universe. Let me say that again. That entangled particles that were connected at one time behave as a single unit. So if we take salt, which is sodium and chloride, right? We all know salt is sodium chloride, NaCl. If we split that into its sodium and we split that into a chloride, right? It was together they make salt, separate they make sodium and chloride. If we shoot the chloride to one end of the universe and we shoot the sodium to the other end of the universe, and then we blow up the chloride, the sodium explodes at the exact same time. It doesn't even take the speed of light for the information to travel across the universe for the sodium to explode. They are entangled, non-local. We blow up the chloride on one end of the universe and the sodium explodes on the other end. Guys, this is real. They won the Nobel Prize for this. The Nobel Prize. So this is spooky, right? It's incredibly spooky, and it at a level really makes you question everything that's going around here. Now, from a scientific level, and whether or not you are taking this from the biblical perspective or the scientific perspective, but the Big Bang, right? If we go back to the Big Bang or the word, the first sound, the universe, that first thing, they said it was a pea-sized little ball of energy. When it exploded and continued to expand and expand and expand and expand and expand until it created me, you, the earth, all the dinosaurs, all the things, all the plants, all the cars, all the things. At one point, they were all one thing. In that little pea-sized ball of energy. And if we know that when two particles are entangled, that they behave like a single unit, then what does that mean for us and everything else in this universe? It's entangled, baby. We are all connected. One thing. We are one thing. Understanding itself and observing itself and experiencing itself as Jamil, as Dominic, as Sharon, as Nathan, as David. One thing. Experiencing itself as a pen, as a plant, as a mechanical hen, and baby chickens. So how do we use this? How do we use this to our advantage? How do we take this knowledge of understanding of what is happening and apply it for the benefit of our lives? Well, that's where attention and intention is everything. Your attention is the one thing that you have that is the most valuable currency that we have. It's what everything is vying for. I mean, advertisers are spending billions of dollars for your attention. Men will break their backs and spend millions of dollars on cars and jewelry and all kinds of crazy things for attention of women and sometimes men. whatever your thing is. It's all attention. All we are doing is trading attention. We're trading attention. And we take that attention and we transform that attention into dollars. And then we give those dollars to somebody else, but it's still attention. It's energy. It's our focus. Attention is all of it. It's what we're buying. It's what we're selling. It's what we have. It's what everybody wants. It's what we have to give and what we're trying to get. From the moment we're born. Now, if that means that our attention is the most valuable thing, then where we place it is of the utmost importance. On a quantum level, our attention can build the universe, and we're accepting Instagram likes. Think about that. Our attention can build the physical universe, and we're giving it to TikTok. For real. Where are we putting our attention? Who has it when it's our most valuable resource? Now, if we take that concept and we apply it to why I think a lot of you follow me or are in my sphere, at some level, you feel I have something that you can learn to help you become financially free. At some level, that was a thing. Maybe our relationship has evolved over time and we've deepened our bond, but I attracted you waving $1 in your face, right? Which is totally fine. But if that's what we're looking for, if that's the thing that is our desire, then where are we putting that attention when we are sitting down to do our work? What quality of presence do you bring to the level of preparation and execution that you put into your day? Where's the focus? Where is that universe building currency that all of us have? Where are you putting it? When you're talking on the phone to a real estate agent or talking on the phone to a seller or a buyer, to bring it back to our world here of real estate investing. Such an important thing we're doing here. Sorry, guys. It makes me laugh because it's like like I said, we can build universes and we are settling for hoarder houses, but it's okay. I'm not tripping on that. Hoarder houses will make you 15 grand a pop. Let's go. Let's go. So what can we do with our attention? Now, what I'm saying to you is if for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour a day, if you could focus that attention in a concentrated way, could you not entangle yourself to a reality that in knowing the concept of entanglement and the capacity of magnetism, could we not draw to ourselves the particles of our desire? Did I not draw this house on the beach to myself with my attention? Sure as hell did. So where do we do that? Where do we do it? Which dimension, which plane? It's in that plane where our atoms reside, where our energy resides. And scientists call that the quantum field, the void, the fifth dimension. Yes. In that space, we have within ourselves the capacity to visualize the particles, the reality that we are seeking, and entangle ourselves to it such that we behave like one unit. And then, my friends, what can stop you? And what can stop it? We literally have within ourselves the capacity to manipulate reality. But instead, we watch 20 minutes of twerking on TikTok. That's the funniness. So, the next time that you sit at your desk before you start your day, where do you place your attention? Right? Where do you place your intention? Where's that currency that you have, that universe building currency that you have, that all of us have? In reality, there's no difference between you and a billionaire at that level. We both have the exact same level of attentive attention and currency. Love it, Tim. It's so good. On a daily level, the practice of being able to put ourselves in that space to build a reality within our minds, to entangle ourselves with the particles, with the waves of those particles. Like the baby chicks and the plant, to draw to ourselves even inanimate objects like a mechanical hen or a lamp on a track. You want a house? You want a Rolls Royce? You're Nathan Harris and you want a girlfriend? Just playing. He can have lots of girlfriends, I know. Whatever it is you want, you can have. All of it. All of it. You just got to have your attention there. What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful thing that we have, that we've been given in this planet, that we've been given this as these creatures. to create reality, to manipulate it, to draw it to ourselves, to collapse the wave function and actually manipulate physical reality. Please, before you go to sleep tonight, thank yourself for the power that you have within yourself. And when you wake up in the morning, honor it by not wasting the day. Cool? All right, I'm going to bring some of you up in case you have some questions. I'm going to put that link in the chat again. If any of you do, come on up and let's chitty chat. Got a few of you already backstage. What's up, Nathan?
What up, Jamil? How you doing?
Excellent, bro.
I am doing so good. And I'm grateful to have you as my friend. Thank you.
Love you back.
Love you too, bro. Hey, you know, I would love to take a moment to talk with you about the visualization, but on the grand scheme of things. So a lot of people will visualize like very small goals, like what they think they can accomplish, right? Like I have these resources, and if I utilize these resources, I can accomplish this, right? But then we have those big goals, those goals where like we don't know how to accomplish them. We don't know if they're accomplishable. Like, for example, you know, the people that built the airplanes, you know, people that broke the 4-minute mile, people that hiked Mount Everest to the top. So I want to talk about those goals, and more so just for the audience's pleasure of like, how do you take people from that limited thinking of I have these resources, and if I deploy my resources correctly, I can accomplish this goal, to the thinking of I'm going to accomplish this goal that has never been accomplished in the universe before?
Yeah. Well, it depends on which plane you're living in, right? What level of science or what laws of energy you're accepting. Because if we live in a Newtonian world, we're always going to be needing to use a tool in order to achieve a result, right? We're going to have to exert a force in order to move something. We're going to have to do something in order for something to happen, right? And if we live on that plane, and if you stay on that plane, then of course you're limited by the realities of the items that you have around you and the resources that are at your disposal. That's just the reality of the third dimension. Mm-hmm. And if you will stay in that spot, then of course you will constantly be limited by what access you have to specific resources, connections, people. And that, unfortunately, will continue to cap where you will allow yourself to go. It'll cap the expectations of a result that you may have, and it will limit your dream, right? And that's absolutely logical.
And that's like the matter against matter, right? Like where you're trying.
That's where matter is moving matter, right? When we live in a plane where it's just like, I've got to do this for this to happen. For instance, you know, I could say, okay, I'm throwing my pen across the room, and I want my pen to come back to me. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I can throw the pen across the room, and if I'm thinking of this from a third dimensional reality, how is that pen going to come back to me unless I pick my ass up and I go pick up the pen and walk it back to where I am, right? That we can agree that would be the way to do it. In a fifth dimensional reality, I can throw the pen and I can expect the pen to come to me, and just then someone will walk through the door, walk over and say, oh, what's this pen doing on the floor? Pick it up and bring it over to me and drop it in front of me. Mm-hmm. Now, what the result was and how that pen found its way to me are two completely different things. One required me to have to get up and do it, and another one, whatever resources the universe had at its disposal, mm-hmm. rather than whatever resources I have at my disposal, brought the pen to me. So that's the difference between our limited goal and our bigger dreams, because it's not your job to know how the big dream happens. It's your job to entangle yourself with the big dream so the dream can find its way to you.
It sounds to me like we have to believe it and feel it and let the pieces put themselves together in your life.
Yes.
That's all.
That's it. And at that level, you really have no limit. There's nothing holding you back. I know you've got really, really, really big, interesting dreams. And right now, I mean, look, right now, so you know, I know Nathan pretty well. I've known him for quite some time now, guys. And he has a dream of building a human colony on another planet, right? He wants to be part of the human expedition out into Mars, maybe, and create a colony of humans out there.
I want to make AstroFlipping literal.
Yeah, which is amazing, right? Now let's think of this. Right now, in current reality, I mean, we've got Elon building spaceships and they're out there doing the thing. And is it possible quite at this moment that we may be able to go and do that? Yes. Probable in Nathan's lifetime? Again, who knows? If Nathan's living in a 3-dimensional world, then what happens? Nathan's sitting here thinking about, well, I don't even freaking know Elon Musk. How am I going to meet that dude? Right? How am I going to get myself anywhere near a spaceship? And with that, even with that, how am I going to get onto another planet and then have the capacity to have others with me so that we can, the materials that we need to colonize? But Nathan's not even thinking about the fact that there could be entire civilizations out here that are just waiting for us to evolve to a different level of density, who may appear at any moment and say, hey, dude, oh, yeah, you're the guy who really wants to build something over here, right? Well, just jump on our ship and let's go. He doesn't know what the future is going to hold. So right now, and again, that's fantastical as well, guys, whatever. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a real thing or not. I don't know. I don't know. The CIA just recently said, yeah, there's aliens, right? The government's just starting to admit it to us, but the news is still keeping that so low and the volume turned down so low so we don't freak out. But there have been numerous, I mean, they were in Congress talking about it.
Even just a more relatable example for people is telephones, right? At one point in time, it was wired telephones. There was no wireless. And the person that came up with the telephone of like transmitting information through the air with no use of wires, he was put in an insane asylum for a little bit because they're like, this guy is nuts. Nowadays we have that and we think nothing of it. So who knows, right? I can keep my mind on the end goal. Who knows what pieces might come into my life?
That's exactly right. And so to that level, in dreaming, in looking at what you're wanting to accomplish, if you look at 3D reality, of course, it's going to be really difficult for you to figure out how the hell that's going to happen. But if you don't live, or if you don't think about it from that plane, if you let yourself go to the plane of energy, bro, anything's possible.
Absolutely. For those people that are like stuck in the mindset of like matter against matter, how do they go into that creative state? Like, what's a good way to ease themselves into the creative state where they're able to build whatever they want without the constraints of feeling like it has to suit the environment around them?
I think one day at a time, one step at a time, one moment at a time. The only moment, the truest moment that exists is now. Right? Where are you right now? The people in the chat, right? Where are you right now? Where are you? Are some of you scrolling in your phone? Are some of you sending a text message? Are some of you looking at the chat? Are some of you already off of this stream and on something else? Where are you? Right? That right there is where everything happens, in the present moment. The only thing that exists. So when you're in that elegant spot of the present moment and you allow yourself to transcend into these different dimensional areas, if you want to call it that, there is boundless opportunity. It's the field of potentiality. It's where all things can happen.
Absolutely.
And I think, moment by moment, I think we need to treat this as a scientific experiment for ourselves. I didn't just come to this belief because I have a beach home now and I have my dreams came true. I was being proven the existence of this phenomenon in small baby steps. The way that the baby chickens were bringing the mechanical hen to their corner of the box, I was bringing myself, I was bringing that proverbial mechanical hen to me over and over again through my life and through experimentation, and then actually seeing and saying, wow, that happened. That's weird. Do it again. Like any scientific experiment, if you continue to do something over and over again and you get a result that is corresponding, you start to see a correlation. So treat this as an experiment. Don't take my word for it. Who am I? I'm a guy who danced on a table painted blue.
Remember at the mastermind when you told us all to visualize a specific object? And if I remember correctly, was it Luke or was it somebody else that visualized a $2 bill?
It was Luke who visualized the $2 bill.
And lo and behold, we then have Brad Holkman come up and do his performance at the mastermind. And what's he throwing at people?
$2 bills.
$2 bills. And that you got us started on that visualization. Mine has compounded quite a bit since then, but that just reaffirmed that we can think of such a small object and bring it into reality. And then we're like, wait a minute, this works. Now we can go a level bigger, right? Think of a slightly bigger object, manifest it, feel like what it would feel like to have that, bring it into reality, and then take it a step bigger. So if people are like, whoa, this is, crazy out of my realm, I believe in matter against matter, maybe just try with a small object and bring it up.
That's it, bro. Love you, Nate.
Love you too, brother. Thank you so much.
Hi, Sharon.
Oh, hey, how are you?
Excellent. How are you?
I'm good. So, all right. When the scientists observed the energy, it became solid matter, right? It became particle. And you're saying that if our attention is focused on something that's our most valuable currency, our attention can create the matter that can create the matter that we're calling to us, right? Is that correct?
And we can entangle ourselves with it in our...
Right. So when we're in this nowhere, nothing state, and we are creating our reality, our desire, right? How do I say this? What is the energy of the thing that we're wanting? Is it just a matter of visualizing that thing? Is it just a matter like...
It is that, as well as the emotional resonance or the emotional frequency that is generated with that specific reality or with that specific thing. And so the way that it's harnessed in its most powerful form is the thought. So the actual, seeing it, and then the emotional response that would be accompanying with it. And correlated together, that creates a very powerful, that's the intention and it's the attention of what that reality is. And that brings that reality to us.
Fantastic. So then the next step to that, I guess, or question to that is, right, if I'm visualizing and I'm seeing and I'm feeling what that is, where I want to be, and I don't know how to ask this either, but how do I let go of creating that outcome myself, the Newtonian part of it, versus allowing just, okay, that's what I want. It's going to happen. I know it is.
By being
universe bring it to me.
By being present. And it's saying that it's not that you aren't responsible at some level to cooperate
take steps
with
towards it, right?
You have to take a step towards it. And that's it, right? We don't know what maybe step 2, step 3, step 10 is, but if I'm like, I really want to write this book, okay, and in front of me is a piece of paper and a pen, well, I could do the first thing and I could take the cap off and then I can write the first word.
Then you can wrap
Right.
a flower around it and make it happy.
All that, right?
Yeah.
All of that. And so we are in concert with it,
Yeah.
right? We have to be in concert with it. That's why it requires the observer,
Right.
right? You have to be with it. You have to cooperate with it in order for it to be.
At the same time, though, not forcing it, right? Because you're not standing up and going to pick up the pen. You're allowing the universe to bring something.
What we're doing when we force something is we're confirming our disbelief in its reality.
Makes sense.
Because we're forcing it. We're like, I don't believe that this
I'm gonna make it happen, right?
Exactly, right? And I don't know about you, and I can only speak for myself in this regard, but for me, every time I've forced an outcome, I've tripped and fallen on my face. Every single time I force it, it's like the same thing happens over and over again. It just implodes and explodes on me, and I'm like, no doubt.
Oh yeah, that happened again. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
And then when I just allow it to do flow. Its thing, I can continue to just be in my head about it and have that emotional response and take steps towards it, but then also know that the pieces are coalescing and doing their thing as well as I'm doing my thing. And then as I continue taking another step, as I finish this thing and I take the next step, and then that thing takes another step towards me, and then all of a sudden you're in a collision course with that reality, and pow!
Oh yeah, yep.
Away it goes.
Do you have any advice on how to combat doubt?
I would say the human mind will continue to create doubt when we are lacking evidence. Right? That's the reality, is lacking evidence creates doubt. And so by proving this to yourself day in and day out through small little things, right? Luke manifesting the $2 bill, right? Small little things. By doing that, those little things, those confirmations, that's what eliminates that doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just keep seeing it over and over and over again, and you're like, okay, well, I've seen this. I keep doing this equation, and I keep getting this result, and so that means that at a level, I'm going to continue doing this, and I can do this on a bigger scale, and the exact same thing that happens in the smaller scale will have to happen at the bigger scale. It's just going to require time. Like when Luke was manifesting a $2 bill, it took a few minutes for Brad Holtzman's presentation to occur. And although they had no conversation, no communication with one another, Brad had no idea that Luke had written down manifesting a $2 bill. He had no clue that was what it was. Then Brad comes up and does his thing, and what, lo and behold, does he have in his hand? The $2 bill that Luke had just written down, wanting to bring into his field of awareness. And so it's those little confirmations, Sharon. It's those little confirmations day in and day out that keep you in that really curious, but then it becomes joy, right? You're like a kid that keeps seeing Santa Claus.
Yep.
Right?
Awesome.
Love you.
Thank you. Love you.
Dominic.
What's going on? What's up, Jamil? What's up, man? I'm good, bro. How are you?
Excellent.
I'm in the same office with Angie, so you might hear her. I think she just left. I didn't really have a question, man. I just want to say thanks. I don't know if you know this, but at the mastermind for sub 2, it was the first time I did any kind of mind work with you or anything. And I had this severe knot in my shoulder, no lie. I've been to doctors, all these places. And as soon as that was done, like clockwork, and I don't believe in that stuff typically, right? I'm like, no way, it went away. And it had nothing to do with my shoulder, your talk. Nothing. I didn't think about it. All I know is afterwards, when I was done, I went, what in the hell? that knot is not there anymore. It's
Yeah.
gone. So I went in there thinking, mindset is not, is not my problem, because I already want to do these things. I already want to do all of the things, right? But I can't do them because my mindset's incorrect. So when you
The
said earlier,
motivation's not your problem.
no,
Motivation's not your problem. But
it is not.
Yeah, yeah. But at the same time, there could be some, imagine if you continue having to think you've got to do it the Newtonian way, where you're like, I need the connection, I need the resource, I need the connection, I need the resource. And like how does that not disappear without somebody going in there and physically manipulating it? But you just had evidence of it not needing that.
Right.
Aye. So when you had that experience of the evidence of not needing the physical manipulation for the knot to disappear, you saw that you could actually believe in the unseen.
And I wasn't even thinking about that. Subconsciously, I was probably thinking about pain, right? But during that time, I wasn't, and it fixed that. It's amazing. Then you said something else. You said what attracted you, a lot of people to you, or us people, is the money, right? This guy's going to make me a lot of money. That may be true for some, but for me, it was, I didn't even know if I liked you at the first, Jamil. I was like, I don't know if I like this guy. He's a little,
Sure.
I don't know. I think because you're a lot like me. Once I did the mind work with you, and then we start to become more friends and talking to you. And I tell you what, I wouldn't take $1 million from you right now if you gave it to me over fixing my mindset.
Bro.
No way. No freaking way. That $1 million would be gone. You're going to do this, that, or the other, but you can fix my mindset or help me with that. I can make billions of dollars. Doesn't matter. So I wouldn't take that money. I really wouldn't. I want to fix my mind. Yeah, so I appreciate you. I love what you're doing. I'll be here every Sunday. I've been going back and listening to them, and we're going to spread the word so we can get more people out here. More people need it, man.
Thank you, my brother. Appreciate
love
it.
you, man.
Love you back.
Yep.
I made my day. Diane, hi.
Hey, I feel like I've been in the shadows following you around. I thought, it's time for me to get up here.
Well, welcome. Don't lurk. Say hi.
So funny because I know I've come up to you and I told you, I literally lived for antics when you first started with Sub 2. It would just turn my day around and got me really motivated about doing all this work. That's because no one likes learning something new because it's all full of fear and stuff.
Sure.
And that's where it all started. And I just follow you anywhere you go. So I have been listening to you in the background, but I thought that's not fair. I should come up and, say hi and actually talk with you because I'm completely in alignment with what you're doing. It's actually, I've been in a spiritual journey for about 10 years. And everything you say hits home. It was really funny because I'm really deep in this, which I love that you are too. But sometimes what happens is because it's almost like this parallel universe. It's like not one that you're not engaged in regularly. And so it really takes effort to get there. But once you're there, things happen. Like it's just synchronicity. You're the creator of your own matrix, call it whatever you want, stuff happens. And so, but there was one day I was really stuck. I just couldn't get off of it. And you went in and you hammered it down. And I did cry a little bit because I was just over it. I was done. And walked through steps and it was me, everything you explained about, how you're feeling and how you're taking it personal, all this stuff. And I thought, oh my God, it doesn't matter how much you do this work, you're still human.
Always. And the reality is we're always a student.
Yeah.
And so no matter how much you think you're learning, you're never going to be at a level where you're like, I have no more to learn. I mean, we have an infinite amount to learn. And so I'm just enjoying that. I'm enjoying the ability to be able to learn this and learn it with you guys with me, right? And we get to go do this all together, which is really fun.
That's what I really love. I mean, we are all human, and that's why this work is so difficult because this is not human. It's not natural. We're not born with this idea of how this all works, how to undo our humanness long enough to be able to create a life for yourself as a human. And so a lot of my work started energy work. I don't even talk about this stuff because I've been so tied to corporate America. I've been embarrassed to let anybody know that I'm in this woo-woo.
Isn't that sad that we have to feel embarrassed to be able to talk about these kinds of things? I think that's just, it really is. It sucks.
Yes. And it was interesting though, because it's a part of me that I've had for 20, 30 years. I've been aware of it. And I've been doing energy work for the last 10, 15 years. And also breath work and energy for transforming and having breakthroughs where you're kind of collaborating those two worlds together, so that they work in sync, as opposed to, because what happens is we'll try to go through the checklist on the human side, and then we'll try to merge over to all this manifestation stuff on this side. And it's hard to get them to sync up. And so what we really have great control over is that human side.
Yeah.
We can manage that and really get clear, because once our mind understands it, then the shift's really easy. But we're questioning, because we're humans, that's what we do. And so what that really led me to want to do a lot of energetic work, where you're tapping into those areas that are kind of the blockage, the thing that keeps bringing us back away from all this transforming way of being. And the two things in parallel, the second, on the other side, where you're creating your life, the creator, you decide, you do it, is really hard to maintain, because it goes in the opposite of the way we live in this world. You're wanting to come up with this pure emptiness when there's so much going on as a human, right?
Yep.
And so that's one of the things that you're really great at. Like you address the human piece of it to give yourself that vessel back to have that space to create from. And that's what I always look for whenever I come into your show, because it brings it all home. It's like, okay, get back in awareness of what you've got, what you're doing, so that you can separate that out, to create.
And also integrate it, so that we don't have to feel ashamed, or that we don't have to feel like, that the energy work you do, or the work that you're doing on your spiritual journey, is at all untied to what you're trying to accomplish in your journey in real estate investing. They're connected.
That was the other thing, because they didn't feel connected for a really, really, but you're my only hope. I'll say this because it's true, is that, sub 2 can be a really rough route. And what I mean by that is, I'm a bit of an introvert. No one likes to hear it, but I have to find people that I have something in common with that really feel connected. And I kept searching you. So I was just like thrilled to death when you did this. I was like, yes, this is so good. But I wanted to talk about something, because this has happened to me in real estate. How I finally got it to integrate together, because waking every day doing the same grind wasn't working. I mean, I spent monies on systems and blah, 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 and it wasn't happening. But it didn't happen until I realized I had to separate myself from everything else, because I was, you do all the thing, you compare yourself, you blame yourself, you beat yourself up, you're not good enough, it's never going to happen. And all those things come true. So, but when you create that space of possibility, in other words, separate yourself from all that, and you realize you are the creator. Yeah. But there's this place, though, that you have to go to, and I call it the connection. It's kind of this place where you feel blissful when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
It happens a lot of time when people are meditating.
Yep.
But in my case, where I found it is when I can recreate it. Usually I have to walk. I don't know why. I have to be physical.
Oh, yeah. For a lot of people, it is. For a lot of people, moving is a great, because you're outside, and you can, or whatever that is, the energy is able to flow in you in a much easier way. But meditation, breath work is also really powerful for that.
That connection comes
prayer
on the out breath. It's so weird, because I've been experimenting all the different ways of how do I get back to that place. And I found some really interesting tricks. I would love to do it with you, offline, and see what you think about it. But I've been able to accomplish it repeatedly on the off breath, the down breath, the out breath, and also do some other breath work that's been interesting. But when you do that, you connect, there's this bliss that comes over you, and it's almost like an all-knowing that now you're in that, you have created that space. It's like,
or you've entered it.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
But if you don't realize it, you just have to have an understanding of it.
Correct.
And then it just,
Well, thank you for sharing that, Diane. I appreciate, and thank you for making my day as well by sharing with me your perspectives and how we connected. So that means a lot.
Your contribution means everything. I want you to know you're really helping a lot of people along, and I think it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you, and I think the pup agrees.
Yeah, she's talking. She agrees.
All right, family. With that, I will depart. I'm going to head over to the Astro community and do my Q&A there. But I love you guys. I hope you all have a beautiful week. Go kiss your family and love on them. But most importantly, love yourself. See you next Sunday. Later.